And every single time I have great difficulties responding to them. I often do not know what exactly to say because it's a very personal and very hurtful matter. And that is the matter of women being persuaded or deceived or lured into converting to Islam through a romantic relationship. In so many cases, women have sent me emails or women came to me in person and have told me their stories, and every single time it's very hurtful to listen to. Islam is a very good religion, and a Muslim is a perfect husband that can provide a wonderful, beautiful, safe future. Many of these women are told about problems, but they choose to simply disregard them or simply think, no, this is all just propaganda, this is all just wrong, these are all just misconceptions. I know, I will go into it, and it will turn out very, very well. So many women. Life is not quite as beautiful and the grass is not quite as green as it looked from over here. They were trapped. Many of them tried to find a way out of the situation. Many of them are stuck and still want to find a way out of that situation, but are desperate and don't really know what to do. So many of them have freed themselves, but now deal with other problems. Many of them are separated from the very children that they gave birth to, that they mothered. Of course, if you get involved in a romantic relationship, if you are enticed by some person, your mind gets a little bit confused and biased and influenced and drunk, and you might suddenly in a strange way view this Islamic religion as quite reasonable and quite true, because something like your hormones drive you toward accepting this relationship in some way or another. But one should never accept a religion out of pressure, out of relationships, out of anything like that. It should be done only with a very clear mind, with proper conviction. In Islam, between a man and a woman, or to be more precise, between a believer, a Muslim, and a disbeliever, a non-Muslim. Muslim women are not allowed to marry non-Muslim men. Muslim men, however, are allowed to marry Christian and Jewish women under the condition that they will slowly turn them into Muslims. This is also generally discouraged. They are supposed to pressure them into becoming Muslims and then marry them. But you can already see that the emphasis here is on the men being in charge of where the religion goes, where the faith goes. And there might be nothing wrong with that. But the primary issue here is of what the men actually want. Islam is a system of pure submission, and everything is done to serve submission. First off, the conversion to Islam usually happens under pressure from the Muslim men. Many women are told that they are fine. They don't have to necessarily convert to Islam. They don't have to necessarily do everything that Islam demands of them. They don't necessarily have to abide by everything. Some are told this. In fact, many, I would say probably most, are told something like this. But the pressure is always there. And eventually the women are slowly coerced into becoming Muslim and becoming a good, obedient Muslim wife. Because that's what the culture, what the religion itself demands. Islam doesn't allow, you might think that you will be given some understanding and some leniency, but as soon as you do convert to Islam, the pressure starts and you will be given an expectation to fully obey and to fully become part of the Islamic system of becoming a humble and obedient Muslim wife. And this should not be understated. Men may advise women if they only fear arrogance of the women, then separate them in beds as punishment and finally beat them if the women do not obey. You would be shocked to hear how many of these women initially think, okay, it seems reasonable that the man has some authority, or think, yeah, it's probably not that bad, probably won't go that far, and then end up being completely battered and abused in these relationships. It happens so often. The horror stories are endless, incredible. What happens is generally very often that the Muslim man, when they stay in Western countries, things are a little bit easier for the woman if she decides to eventually get out of the situation and seek help. But even then, things are difficult. Unfortunately, we live in a very strange time where Western nations are softened and turn into naive cultures where authorities in the West often don't want to deal with Muslims and Muslim culture and don't want to interfere. And even as a Western woman, if you go to the authorities, you often have great difficulties to have them interfere. If you go to a Muslim country and live with a husband over there, things get incredibly difficult. Muslim men are usually, no matter how independent, no matter how strong they are very, very much bound to obey their culture, their parents and others. They might make promises to you of, I will take care of you, I will defend you. If you need to do something differently, I will stand up for you. In practice, it usually does not work that way. Muslim men generally obey the culture, their elders, their families. And if their families don't like you and what you did and want to punish you, the Muslim men will often obey that. Eventually, will not stand up for you. This is only a mild case. Islam is a constant system of legality. Islam doesn't care about what you think and how you feel. When I was a Muslim myself, I had a general problem with the idea that if I go to paradise as a Muslim, I would end up being given pure virgins. And this can always be talked into a Muslim man by their religious leaders and elders. And stuff like this usually gets significantly more emphasized and serious once that person marries. As explained earlier, leaving Islam is punished with death and with other things. Normatively, Muhammad said that anybody who leaves Islam should be killed. Historically, jurisprudentially, converting to Islam means you bind yourself to Muslims as a whole, as a nation, as a group, as a tribe. And if you leave Islam, that is called apostasy, and that is treated as treason. So leaving Islam doesn't just mean you have changed your mind, you no longer believe in this, or you want to go a different way. It means you're turning your back and thereby betraying the entirety of the Muslim community that constantly considers itself at war with the rest of the world. It is literally considered an act of treason to the Muslims, to Islam. And apostasy is treated with the death penalty, where it is applicable. In many countries today, the apostasy laws are still there. In many other countries where apostasy is not punished with death or a man who leaves Islam loses all their familial rights and everything. So if you as a woman leave Islam, you leave everything to the husband that you have abandoned, that you have left behind, and you lose custody. In countries where this is not enforced, it is usually enforced by the Muslim community and by the Muslim families, by their family members. It might even be that you encounter a Muslim man who is not that bad. But Muslim culture is different. There is something bad about the complete abandonment of Western individualism. Unfortunately, once the women got married to these men, or moved to their countries and joined their communities, they found out that the man in question already has a wife. Or in other cases, the man ended up getting another wife after taking this wife in secret. In the West, it is often done in secret. In some other Muslim countries, it is done in secret. In many Muslim countries and environments, it is done with a blessing from the mosque or from their community. A man may, as granted and authorized by the Quran, take up to 4 women as wives, if they wish, if they want, if they can provide for them, if they can be just to them. And justice is very arbitrary by Islamic standards. So a situation like this is completely acceptable and actually very common in Islam and in traditional Islamic societies. A woman, the right to marry a woman. You have no say in this. You are just another woman. You don't have a say in this. You don't have a right to make any decision. And a man might even lie to you, use white lies or black lies to hide a second or third or fourth wife, just to evade problems. A wife might not simply divorce her husband. In Muslim countries, a woman who wants to divorce her husband is often faced with, one, an honor culture that can become very, very dangerous, because a man doesn't want to have his reputation tarnished. And so things can get extremely ugly. So don't do it. Everything aside, a conversion should never be done for marriage to begin with, if that's why you're marrying. It breaks my heart every single time that I encounter something like this. And I would love to somehow do my part and contribute to stopping this. Spread this message, amplify this message,